It's cost me a sad video today, but before we get going, before you buy your next car, make sure you check it out on Car Vertical. You simply type in your registration or the VIN number into carvertical.com and it'll bring up a full report. So check out this BMW M5 that had a really nasty smash on it that no one would have known about, because look at the after photos. It's all included in the report. Other nasty things like outstanding finance, recalls, mileage discrepancies, imports, exports, number plate changes, and all sorts of other stuff are also included on a Car Vertical report. It's super cost effective. If you use my code TG, it's even more cost effective than that. Use the special link below and it'll automatically apply the discount. It's a must have when you're buying a car. Make sure you run one of those reports before you buy the car, and you're more than welcome to run a Car Vertical report on the car that I'm getting rid of. So let's find out what it is. Hello, welcome back to TGTV, and more specifically, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my GTC for Lusso. There's been a hiatus on the channel of this car, and I wanted to clarify a few things with it, say goodbye to it, and also show you some potential replacements for the car and go through actually some of the upgrades I've had done with the car since I've had it, but I haven't filmed with it. So fair bit to get through, but we're on our way at the moment to Joe Macari, which you'll see why when we get there, with this car. So where's it been? It's been in my garage. It's been sat in my garage in my new house with the SLS pretty much since I bought it. I've had a couple of outings with this car, but I say it's probably done a grand total of about 150 miles since I purchased it from Joe Macari some months ago. A terrible effort from me. And I know loads of you are going to be screaming at me saying, oh TG, you should have driven to Morocco and back in it. But in an ideal world, I would be hoofing around the place in one of these things, but I've just been busy and I've blinked, I've lost 3 months, and I've just realised it's been sat gathering dust. So I am going to put it up for sale at Joe Macari, where I bought it, but it's going back for sale with them. It's probably done, well, 1,500 odd miles now. I bought it at about 1,350, so it really hasn't had much use at all. It's got Ferrari warranty on it. It's literally, as I picked it up, just minus 2 trips. Why then am I getting rid of it? Well, I've touched on the first thing. I basically wasn't using it. I know it sounds blasé to say I forgot about it, but I did kind of forget I had it. And with getting the Brabus recently, I've now got a stupid petrol, not daily, but a 4-seater petrol car that has a bit of clout, that has a bit of oomph, that I think is something a little bit different on the channel. I realised Lusso's on that new What Interesting on YouTube. Shmi absolutely rinsed his. He had one in exactly the same colour as this, and I didn't fully clock that before I bought this. So online as a tool, this car isn't really going to be paying for itself. I think residually they're good news, but with the interest on the finance and stuff, I just think financially it's probably a good decision to come out of it. It's going for sale. I'm not desperate to sell it. If I don't get the right money for it, I'm not going to sell. I'll happily hold on to it, and I will use it, and I will do some more dramatic modifications to it and all this kind of stuff. But as a car, I really can't fault it. It's absolutely perfect, and I've had more zeros to my name. I just hoard it and keep it for the sake of it. But I've got to run this thing like a business, and for now it makes no sense to hold on to it. It's cost me absolutely zero. It's probably going to cost the next person absolutely zero as well. It's in warranty. It's still got the service pack attached to it. I mean, it's pretty much free motoring. Other than personal logistical reasons though, I don't really have any need to sell this car. It's absolutely perfect. And I think this is a car I will buy back down the line. Like what I did with my F12. I ended up buying 2 of those because I loved them. I am converted. I think this is one of the best cars Ferrari have ever made. You can literally just drive it like a Golf if you needed to, and you can absolutely spank it should you need it to. Have I spanked it? No. Is the honest answer. I've literally done a couple of trips on the M4 or wherever it is I live, and that's it. So yeah, boring story, but it's going to go to Macari for sale. If they don't sell it, I'm actually not going to be too fuming. I've quite happily hold on to it. I don't need to sell it financially. It's not something that's going to change my life. If it goes, residually, they've held pretty strong. I don't think I should really lose anything or much on it at all. But something I do want to touch on as well, with the security concerns, particularly concerning these new Ferraris, I've had a Pandora system fitted to it. I've done a full video on the Pandora systems of my brother's Range Rover, showing exactly how that thing cannot be stolen now with their kit in it. It's not a ghost. Ghosts are being bypassed. Ghosts are okay. Ghosts can work, but I wanted something a little bit extra. I did think I was going to do a content series with this, but then I realised it's just not viable. My schedule's packed. I'm back to back to back, and it's not going to work anymore doing a content series with this. It's going to be months before I get around to doing anything with it, so I don't want it sitting in the garage. I want someone else to be able to use it. So Pandora system was fitted in readiness for taking it some places and leaving it around the place, but not wanting to get stolen. But the Pandora system's absolutely amazing, and this isn't an advert. Pandora are not paying me to talk about this. It's just something I put in my cars. The Brabus is about to get one fitted to it. It's so smooth, this car. Pandora system basically means that anyone either knocks it, taps it, you get a notification to your phone. It's unhackable. You can't hack it whatsoever. You can't bypass it. It's absolutely like unbreachable, basically, this thing. And it does mean that should anyone try and steal the car and they code the key there and then next to the car, which is what they're doing on these new Ferraris, anything with this key on it, all the models that now have this fob, so not the latest, and not the F12 shape, but anything with this fob, so your 488s, your Pistas, well, it is a 488, your Lussos, your Portofinos, all these fobs can now be coded on the side of the road in about 30 seconds and your car nicked. So I did have a Pandora fitted. It's got an amazing app on it, which basically tells you everything about the car, where it is, whether or not it's being tapped, whether or not it's moving, whether or not someone's shaking it, whether or not the door's open, literally everything about the car, and you can remotely turn the car off. So you need, first and foremost, the fob that is there attached to the key, which you shouldn't do. I've only attached it because it's going to Macari now. But it means that if the fob's not with the car doesn't turn on. Quite a normal thing, you're probably used to that. But it also means you can shut the car down. If you find the fob with the key, or whatever it is, you can still shut the car down on your phone. You can do it safely. The car slows down and then hazard warnings come on. It's really, really cool, and I've seen it in action on my brother's Range Rover. But it's the best system on the market, bar none. They're the absolute nuts. So I've done that to this car, but other than that, I've absolutely done zero to it, including driving it, pretty much. So it's an unbelievable spec. It's got literally every single box ticked. It's got the big hi-fi, it's got CarPlay, it's got the big roof, it's got heated seats, cooled seats, it's TDF blue, it's got full carbon, it's got passenger display, it's got the quilted leather, it's got all the contrasting stitching, absolutely everything. It's unbelievable, and to be honest with you, whoever buys this, I'm probably gonna try and worm my way in and try and make sure that whoever they sell it to at Joe Macari, I have contact with, or I'm able to reach out through them down the line, because I would quite happily have this car back. Just at the moment, it doesn't fit the content plan on the channel, which is quite sad, but I have to run things like a business, or it no longer is a business. Quite sad that I need to make these decisions sometimes, but ultimately, you know, I want to run this as a business. I want to make money. I need to make money. I need to do things for the longevity of the channel, which is the business. So yeah, in an ideal world, I'd have 30 cars, but they can't all stay all of the time. And there is something that I've got my eye on, a couple of things that I've got my eye on to replace this that will bring something to the channel. So we're going to go and have a look at that now. So catch up in a second in Joe Macari. And by the time this video goes out, I think the car might be online. I don't know. I don't know. We shall see. But on the way out as well, a lot of you questioning about finance as well. How does that work? Can you just sell a car whenever you want? Yeah, you can. If you finance the car, I use Charles and Dean, of course. When you finance a car in the same way that I finance them, you can come out whenever you like. You have a settlement figure, just like a mortgage. When you come out of your house, you still owe X amount on that asset. You pay that back and you keep the difference. If you've lost a huge chunk of money, then you'll eat your deposit and you might be in negative equity when you come out, which means you have to pay money to come out. So you have to pay your settlement figure at the end. So for argument's sake, I paid 200 and something for this car. Say 220, but it's now worth 210, for example. And I put down 20 grand, I would owe probably by now maybe 195, something like that on the car. My settlement figure will be 195. I get 210 back for the car. You get it, right? Probably not, but I'm sure you understand finance, or the mortgage thing works. It's the same idea as a mortgage, except in your house you don't usually lose money, but you do have early redemption figures if you're in a fixed mortgage, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you get it. I don't suspect I'm going to be losing much on this car for months of Ferrari ownership. It's not going to be much at all, if anything, if you compare it to that. Interest on the finance, the way finance works as well, the interest is often front loaded. So if you've got your 10% or whatever interest rates are now, depending on what agreement you get, your 10% for the year will be front loaded. So they will be loaded more heavily in the first few months. So you will pay down less equity in the first few months. So I would advise, don't really do what I've just done with this, or I'm about to do, which is get out of car straight away, because you won't have paid down much equity at all. You will have literally been paying mainly interest at the start of your agreement. My finance payments on this were $2,250 a month, something like that. I don't know. I'd probably put down about 10%, as I usually do, 10 to 20%. So I've probably lost most of that £2,000 a month for the past, I actually don't know when I picked this up. Couldn't give you a month. Could have been this year, could have been last year. No idea the way things are going at the moment. But yeah, anyway, that's that. Let's head to Joe Macari anyway. I'll take you around some potential replacements. Here she is then, back in the bay at Joe Macari. There's some amazing, amazing stuff here, and I've already seen something that is a potential replacement for this. Now I know what a lot of you are going to say. A lot of you are going to cite the usual stuff that gets leveled at YouTubers. Oh, you just buy and sell and buy and sell. I'd like to flag that on the channel right now, I've got multiple cars that I've had for more than 3 years. This is just one of those examples of a modern car that's come in and gone out. I've misjudged it. It's not got the use that I intended when I bought it, and things happen. The Brabus happened out of the blue. It was a spur of the moment, once almost in a lifetime opportunity to buy one of those off a friend that just came up out of nowhere after a chance meeting at Le Mans Classic. So these things sometimes happen, and I am actually gutted. And if, as I said in the car, if it doesn't sell, I'm actually not going to be that gutted. It's not really a financial decision. It's more of a sense check. It's more of a just being sensible sort of decision. Let me just show you the spec, because this thing is mega. It's a little bit dusty. Some of you would have seen it at Supercar Fest. This is the spec anyway. You see all the options on there. It's absolutely loaded. It is of course the V12, and most of you knew that already. Inside, on the wrist today by the way, we've got the Zenith Chronomaster Revival on. Inside anyway, very, very, very nice interior. You've got absolutely everything. Carbon side seals, carbon on absolutely everything on there. Carbon driving zone. It's literally loaded. And in the back there, brilliant. It's got thousands of pounds worth of security from Pandora on as well. As I've said, other than that, not much else to tell you, other than it's an absolute winner. I think with the Pura Sangs coming out, this thing will be residually very, very sound. Whilst that doesn't mean that I'm going to lose anything residuals wise, it will mean that I'm just paying an unnecessary amount in finance payments. I've got storage, insurance and blah, blah, blah on a car that I'm not going to have time to run a content series on for the time being. So holding on to it is sadly going to be the most sensible thing to do, and I really don't like doing sensible. But anyway, that's here at Macari. It may well have gone by the time this video goes out, but that's the Lusso anyway. Probably the car I've done least content with in my whole time on the channel. Very, very sad, and I will be getting one of these back, I hope, at some point in the future. However, for now, let's talk replacements. So this side, there aren't any replacements out here. MC20 is a fantastic car, but not something that I am going to purchase. We've got standard 488 over there, very nice. Over this side, slightly more lumpy. There's a Pista, which I've already had, F40, F50, both things that I would absolutely love at some point in my lifetime, but that is not going to happen anytime soon. We've got a 458. I would be after potentially another 458 Spider in a green, or a 458 Spider or a 458 Coupe in a green, or a brown in both of those. So if there's any of those knocking around, do let me know. Here is a car that got away from me at Historics Auctions. I don't know if it's this exact car, but it is an Alfa Romeo Zagato. I still do want to own one of these in my lifetime. They are starting to soar in value, as I said they would, and I did miss that one at Historics. I missed the bidding, I screwed up the admin, and the person that bought it did have a bit of a bill on it, as is probably suspected with most of these cars if you buy them at auction. However, he will now be quids in. So I don't know if that's the exact car, but I adore those and I would love one of those. No eclectic collection is complete without that. I love these. Now, in contention for the most serious contender to replace my Lusso is this. 812 GTS is definitely something I would consider. At the moment, the pricing they're sat at, I'm gonna have to take a massive deep breath to jump into one. I think that is going to be the car that replaces my Lusso. I can't think of anything better than one of these. This spec is very, very nice. It's not to my taste, I don't think. I don't like the black and yellow stitching. It's not 100% up my street, but that doesn't mean it's not a nice spec. It just means that potentially I have no taste. But I'll be after one of these. Again, it may be a green, maybe a brown. I would consider a grey like this, but just with some sort of contrasting interior. But that is good goods. Potentially even an 812 coupe, to be honest. I think an 812 itch is going to have to be scratched. Obviously, I've had two F12s. I've had two Lussos now. I think it might be time to get an 812. What else have we got in here? We've actually got an F12 sat there. Grigio with Bordeaux interior, almost matching to this next to it, kind of its grandson, if you like. Got an FF there, California. I actually want to show you some crazy stuff. That is beautiful. Maserati. You've seen all of these before in previous videos of mine, MC12, F1. You may well have not seen this. Bridgestone on the front there. I'm doing some stuff with Bridgestone very shortly with my 997 GT3 RS. Unbelievable kit, laugh. Very you've seen all this. Yellow corner over here. I think you've probably seen all these before. An SLS Black Series over here. I would love one of those, but I've already got the standard car. Shmee's got one of these already, so just don't think it would be a thing for YouTube. If I won the Euro Millions, I'd probably go for one. This is very nice, and I'm very, very disappointed I missed the boat on the T50. I was umming and ahhing and looking down the back of the sofa for the money needed to confirm a slot on the T50 when it came up. This is actually the T33, so the baby brother of the T50. It doesn't have the 3 seats in the middle, and believe it or not, this is actually a replica. This is a plastic car. It's a plastic car, very, very clean, classic looking design. It looks tiny, it looks absolutely tiny. But I'd love one of these as well, but a little bit too spicy on the old numbers. It doesn't have the 3 seats in the middle as well, which I love about the T50. And it doesn't have the same engine as the T50. It's a maybe, it's a maybe. We've got an 812 coupe here, not the sort of spec I would go for, but it does look very, very well in triple layered yellow. That is beautiful, beautiful paint. I wouldn't mind a coupe, 812 coupe, but we shall see. We shall see where things end up. For now then, from Joe Macari and my GTC4 Lusso, thank you very much for watching. It's a very sad farewell, potentially a temporary farewell if it doesn't sell quick enough or I get impatient. But thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe. Hopefully you understand my reasonings and you're not going to be too abusive to me in the channel. And stay tuned for what it gets replaced with. Bye.